Oh my word, don't let anybody tell you how easy it is to make a video. I'm on my second one again. I wanted to do part 2 of what happened to my husband. I left off in part 1 at my son Michael's wedding. Dennis did the best he could there. He did show up. He danced with me. I started in the first... This is a second take, okay? In the first take, I had a conniption about his family, my in-laws, and I just had to stop because his brother and sisters are a point of contention for me. So I'm not even gonna mention that. Some of them only were at the wedding. So I'm trying to remember. I was thinking a minute ago, before I started taping again, my husband was an authoritarian parent, you know? And I remember either the morning after the wedding, I think it was, Dennis, me, and Rachel, she came in for the wedding. We went to breakfast at one of my favorite places. Is it Stonehenge? It's this beautiful building. If I get to go back, I think I have some footage of it from my trip in September. If I ever get back there, I'll show it to you and talk to you about it. We went to breakfast there, and we had missed the special. They always had specials, always really good deals. But Dennis didn't care. Let's just sit down and eat. It was very quiet. No one was there. It was the end of the morning. And, the breakfast was to die for, really. Of course, I would remember the food. And, it just was so nice. Dennis and Rachel were talking like friends, sharing business experiences, sharing life problems, just talking, just being people. Rachel said to me later on, "Mom, we were just starting to get a relationship. We were just starting to get to know each other." When he got sick, he wouldn't talk to anybody. He barely talked to me. When I say when he got sick, I'm talking, but this was progressive. This was bits and pieces that added up to a catastrophe. The hardest thing in the world is to feel like you're in a metal box and you're screaming, "Something's wrong here. Something's wrong. Somebody do something. Somebody help us." But no one can hear you. That's what it felt like. His family thought he had mental illness and was depressed. The doctors were just, "We can't find anything. Send him to a psychiatrist." Even though there were x-rays of his lungs and it said emphysematous changes, no one put 2 and 2 together. That was in 2016, and he had become extremely agitated, and so they thought he was nuts. What I would learn later about COPD, emphysema, because the body is not getting the oxygen exchange that it needs, it causes anxiety. It causes agitation. They missed the boat. I don't know that it would have ended any differently anyway. But let's continue into 2016. He went back in 2015 with Dennis Jr. and back to the house in Hudson. And he continued to work, and Denny Jr. assisted him. I remember him calling me in January. I don't feel good. That was 2016. I'm going to the doctor. Doctor gave him some antibiotics and prednisone because he had some sort of sore in his mouth, and he was complaining about that, and a sore throat and a cough and some other things, and so they gave him antibiotic and the prednisone, and somewhere around February, March, he called me. He called me all the time. I always just tell women now, I don't worry about my husband having an affair. He wouldn't have time between the phone calls. That was Dennis. He depended on me. He confided in me. He wanted me to be his friend, and I was. Sometimes I get so aggravated. Dennis, do you think you could wait maybe a couple hours between calls? Oh, he gets so upset with me. I'm sorry I bothered you. I'll go. And then I feel like poop. Listen, if you still have your man, just listen to him. I know they're pains in the butt, but just give him the time of day. You never know when he's not going to be here anymore. So he called me and he said, Nikki, I'm in the car. I'm in the bottom of a driveway at a yard sale. And I don't think I can get up the driveway. I'm so tired. I said, Dennis, this isn't like you. Oh my God. You can understand Dennis. He was like hyperactive, hyperdrive, okay? Get home. We gotta do this. We gotta do that. We gotta do this. We gotta do that. I mean, he just never could rest. Never. We always had to do something. If something needed to be done, we were doing it, and that was it. What the heck is my water? Of course I didn't bring it. So when he said that, I said, please go home. Go home and rest. You better go see a doctor. So he went back to Care One in Spring Hill, Florida. And he said, there's something wrong with me. Do a whole panel. Those panels at that place were $600. But I said, you do whatever you have to do. We had no insurance. We were making good money. There was, back then. Good for us, anyway. Probably about $45,000 a year. I thought that was great. Are you kidding? What I wouldn't do for $45,000 a year now. What would I do? I'm going to think about that. No, get back to the subject. Okay, so, they found Epstein-Barr mononucleosis, the kissing disease, as they called it. And I believe I don't want to shame anybody, okay? I don't want to make anyone feel guilty, but I believe Bonnie was going to school, and I think she brought it. And that isn't what made him. It was like a catalyst, though, to his downfall, I think. And it's nobody's fault, As a matter of fact, he was starting to get better when he came home, but let me continue. So he had mono, and they sent him home, and there's nothing you could do for mono really, and rest and such. And he called me and he said, we had discussed, because he'd been feeling so poorly for such a long time. He said, I want to give the house back to the rental agent. We rented it for 4 years, and I want to close it up. Will you please come down and drive me home? So I flew down, and I had to clean the house. You know, it was a real mess, and I'm very meticulous, okay? I did the windows, I cleaned the bathrooms, I did everything. It's just the way I am. And the fridge, I mean, that place, even the office said we've never seen it so good, you know, when they gave us back our deposit. It wasn't like that when I moved in, believe you me. And when I got down there, he was yellow, head to toe yellow, bright yellow, you know. And I remember being so stunned and saying to the boy, I said, what the hell is this? Look at the color of his skin. What are they doing for him? Nothing. So the other thing that was very alarming is he was losing 1 pound a day. 1 pound a day. Something else was going on, I'm telling you. I mean, he was eating. As a matter of fact, he was so panic-stricken that he was losing so much weight so quickly that he'd make me stop at McDonald's every 2 hours and get him something fattening. He was eating breakfast and then egg cheese biscuits, and then stopped for fish sandwiches and fries, and then stopped and maybe got a salad, and then stopped for dinner and got more fish sandwiches and maybe a burger, and we'd stop at Subway, get subs and chips, and he still lost weight. It was the most bizarre thing I'd ever seen in my life. His sister, oh, that's just mono, I had it, it's like that. I'm not so sure about that. What does it matter now? He's gone. Back on track. I lost faith in the medical community many years previous. I'm not going to go into that here because it'll take too long. So I started practicing homeopathy, herbology, anything natural. And I had read about, I knew sunbathing would help with the bilirubin problem, making him yellow. I knew that skin brushing would help the lymph system. And so I started a protocol for him. Plus he went to his regular doctors. And juicing, all organic, everything, salads, roast vegetables, everything was high density nutrition. I know there's a word for it, but I can't remember. And he started to rally. But I remember telling the doctors, he doesn't look right. He still looks orange. He'd gone from yellow to orange. My husband was a ruddy pink man, and I'd never seen him in that color before. I'm sorry, but it comes to mind that the coroner said to me, well, ma'am, I know he wasn't healthy because I'd never seen someone that color. And I mean, that wasn't even orange. It was like clay-colored paste. Before he died. And it wasn't from the blood loss. It was just the way he looked. Like death. Or worse. Because the medical examiner had seen death before, and he still said he never saw anything like that. He said, I knew he was sick the minute I saw him. You saw him here in the shower. It's not unusual, I guess, that some people, when they've had enough, they say that's it. But let's get away from the coroner and back to home. Dover Foxcroft, Maine. I can't even remember what I was saying. What was I saying? How much time? I'm going to stop here. I'll have to go back and review it because maybe I'm having mental blocks. Maybe I'm having trauma. I don't know. I dropped the ball. What can I say? That's the end of part 2, and I'll come back and do the rest tomorrow. That's part of my story, and I'm so sad to even have it. Thanks for watching. Good night.